1-1. And of course, the point comes in a different way for either side, because who is the point more useful to? Is it more useful to Everton in their fight to stave off the drop, or is it more useful to Tottenham in Stellini's hope that they end up with top four football? What were your thoughts?
Well, I think ultimately, if they had lost this game, Everton, they would have dropped back into the bottom three, and psychologically that would have been damaging for them. A home game is a home game. They need to get the results at Goodison because that's their fortress.
Yeah.
So I suspect the point was more beneficial. Both of them would have wanted to win this game because both of them would have been able to cement certain positions. Obviously, Everton would have gone up probably to about 12th or close to it, and Tottenham would have put another 2 points distance between those that are chasing them with games in hand. My gut feel is that the beneficiary of the point is Everton. Spurs will have wanted to have obviously won this game to be able to start the new era of these non-selfish players proving the point that it actually wasn't them, it's Conte that was the problem, and you'd have expected a much more strident response from them. I heard Stellini suggest that things don't change overnight, which clearly means that he thinks things do need to change and that there's some merit in what Conte said.
Yeah.
And of course, Spurs being in front, and Everton being down to 10 men, you would have assumed at that particular point that Spurs would have kicked on and taken control of the game. But Spurs are Spurs right now, and that's what we've listened to. And there's a lot of what Conte said which was right, but it didn't excuse him for not providing the solution. So going to your question, I think Everton would have been the major beneficiaries of that point, because it's a point against Tottenham Hotspur, a fourth in the league. It's another message that Sean Dyche can impart. When we're down to 10 men, look at us. We're changing. We're building a side. We're able to work harder. He was talking last night in the press conference about the fact that the team are doing more of what he's asking them to do. More pressing, more yards, more ability, more motivation, more momentum in their performances. He'll be able to sell that back to that team. Yeah. Look what we can do against a top four side when we're down to 10 men. So Everton were the beneficiaries at this point, I think.
Thing. What about Stellini and Ryan Mason? Are they the duo in place that can guarantee Tottenham fans, don't worry, leave it to us, we'll get you top four?
No, not really, because the problem has always laid on the pitch and with the management dugout, and Conte was there to remove that weakness, that fragility, that preparedness to accept not necessarily winning anything, which seems to be part and parcel of the makeup of Tottenham, and I include all of them in this situation, from Harry Kane downwards, irrespective of his wonderful performance. So they're not the answer.
Yeah.
They are. If they're the answer, what's the question? The bottom line is they're there in this moment in time while Daniel Levy finds his way through this murky world of who hates him and which manager he should now employ to dislike him next.
Yeah.
All of that comes to play. So I still think they'll do better than what Conte would have done.
The game wasn't without its controversial moments. The Doucouré red card, there were 2 red cards in it, one for each club. But regards this one, is it really a case of players stitching each other up, Simon, or can Everton have no complaints here? Pushing match, shoving match right in front of the technical area between Doucouré and Harry Kane. Kane goes down mortally wounded, clutching his face after Doucouré's hand was pushed into Kane's face. The question coming out of this as well is, does Harry Kane get more protection from pundits in the media because, of course, Harry Kane is England captain? When it came to Danny Murphy on talkSPORT last night, no protection offered.
I'm absolutely disgusted by Harry Kane now. I know players do it, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be stitching up. He started it. That's not enough to send him on the floor, embarrassing himself. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a gestured push in the face. I mean, it's a sending off because the letter of the law, but why has he gone over like that, stitching up someone? Well, I know why, because all players want to win by cheating. He'd have got sent off anyway if he'd have stayed on his feet.
Get in there, Danny. Well said,
Danny. I mean, Simon, if you and I stood up in this studio now, we're not going to do this, even though we're live on YouTube and Facebook, and you shoved me in the face, which is something you'd like to do.
Very much. I'd like to take a run up whilst doing it.
Yes, of course. But they were standing still when they did it last night. Harry goes down, hits the deck. I'm not going to go down and hit the deck.
It's pitiful. It is pitiful. It's difficult to understand. The other sports must look at these guys and go, what in God's name are you all about? They might look at them that way because there's a bit of envy in the fact that the financial rewards for the Premier League footballers are so vast compared to any other sport.
Yeah.
But they've got to look at them and go, what? You've got rugby players getting hit full tilt. You've got cricketers getting bowled a ball at 90 mile an hour. Whatever other sport we can think of, boxers getting punched in the face. I think it's pathetic, and I think that the more that people say it's pathetic, because they're all lemmings. That's why they've all got themselves covered head to foot in tattoos. They all follow what everyone else does. They all do the same thing in life. Have the same agents, have the same man bags, have the same tattoos, and have the same rollabout. Right? So why don't we have something a little bit more substantive? And the way that you will have that is when you get former top players like Danny Murphy going, "Thank God's name is that."
Yeah.
And then they'll still diminish it, saying, "What do you know?" That I think it's right to call it for what it is. I think it's pathetic. I genuinely think it's pathetic. I don't know why they don't look at themselves and think, "Well, that's a little bit embarrassing." I mean, but the problem is they're in very good company because they're all at it.
Yeah,
every single one of them does it.
I'm looking at some of the caption here in the picture in the back of the Times this morning. What a slap in the face for Spurs. Abdoulaye Doucouré was sent off for lashing out at Harry Kane. Lashing out at Harry Kane. Does this not get highlighted the way it should be because Kane is England captain?
No, I'm not.
Are certain people in the media not calling it for what it is?
Maybe, but there's lots of people that will also call it for what it is.
Sure, Pearce would not have hit the ground last night at Goodison.
No, he wouldn't, but he's cut from a different cloth and from a different era, so he'll also acknowledge the fact. Souness would have been the same. Most of the players that are no longer playing that are of a certain vintage, from say 45 upwards, or say Danny's age 42 upwards, would look back at that and go, that's contemptuous. Doesn't alter the fact that it's irresponsible behaviour by Doucouré to give him that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because his team needed him on the pitch. And I know Dyche was right next to it and doing, waving down planes in his semaphore routine to make sure that the referee understood that that wasn't worthy of any action.
Yeah.
But even if Harry Kane hadn't have gone down like a sack of potatoes,
sure,
he should have still got sent off because you can't raise your hand in an opponent's face.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.